Arjunananda is usually the one doing all this stuff. Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhare, Jaya Girivaradhare. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhare, Jaya Girivaradhare. Jaya Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhare, Jaya Girivaradhare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र शतशे श्रीमद His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki Vraj Bhumi Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Ganga Maiya Yamuna Maiya ki Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani ki Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki कलियुग पावन श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Anyone has phone to connect this? I should put for mine. Okay, this one. Okay, maybe we can decide the prayers. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvshe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We are reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 7, entitled For the Inquiries by Vidura, in verse number 16. 1-6. Okay. Sadve tadvyaritam vidvan natma mayayanam hare abhatya partam nirmulam vishvamulam nayadbahi sadve tadvyaritam vidvan natma mayayanam hare abhatya partam nirmulam vishvamulam nayadbahi sadve tadvyahritam vidvan नात्ममायायनं हरे आभात्य पार्थं निर्मूलं विश्वमूलं न यद्बहिः साध्वेतद्व्याहृतं विद्वन् नात्ममायायनं हरे आभात्य पार्थं निर्मूलं विश्वमूलं न यद्बहिः साध्वेतद्व्याहृतं विद्वन् नात्ममायाननं हरे विश्वमूलं न यद्बहिः साध्वेतद्व्याहृतं विद्वन् नात्ममायायनं हरे आभात्य पार्थं निर्मूलं विश्वमूलं न यद्बहिः माताजी साध्वेतद्व्याहृतं विद्वन् नात्ममायायनं हरे Word to word. Sadhu, as good as it should be. Etat, all these explanations. Vyahritam, thus spoken. Vidvan, O learned one. Na, not. Atma, the self. Maya, energy. Ayanam, movement. Harehe, of the personality of Godhead. Abhati, appears. Apartham, without meaning. Nirmoolam, without basis. Vishwamulam, the origin is the supreme. Na, not. Yat, which. Bahi, outside. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki. O learned sage, your explanations are very good, as they should be. Disturbances to the conditioned soul have no other basis than the movement of the external energy of the Lord. Purport: a living entity's unlawful desire to become one with the Lord is, in every respect, is the root cause of entire material manifestation. For otherwise the Lord has no need to create such a manifestation even for his pastimes. The conditioned soul, under the spell of the external energy of the Lord, falsely suffers many unfortunate incidents in material life. The Lord is the predominator of the external energy, Maya, whereas the living entity is predominated by the same Maya under the material condition. The false attempt of the living entity to occupy the predominating post of the Lord is the cause of his material bondage, and the conditioned soul's attempt to become one with the Lord is the last snare of Maya. Okay. Maybe we'll chant the invocation for Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which I missed. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam na udirayet. Nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavate uttama-shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. We welcome all of you to morning Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class. What I'm going to do today is just share some thoughts about this verse. And maybe before I start, I would like to seek blessings of all the devotees assembled, so that whatever I speak may be of some use in your personal life. Hare Krishna. Okay, just keep it like this. So in this purport, Srila Prabhupada was saying, if you see, there are 2-3 important points Srila Prabhupada mentions. Also, many times many devotees have given me feedback that I speak too fast for the US devotees. So in case I speak too fast, then you can let me know, I can reduce my speed. Okay, so here Srila Prabhupada is mentioning a living entity's unlawful desire to become one with the Lord in every respect is the root cause of entire material manifestation. And that is the only reason why Krishna has created this material world. If there were no living entities trying to enjoy separate from Krishna, there would be no material world in itself. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that Krishna even doesn't need the material world for his pastimes. He can manage with inside the spiritual world. So, but when we look around, we see so many living entities with so many different bodies. How many categories are there, or how many species of life in total? Yeah, 8.4 million species. So that means there are so many, it's just the number of species, but if you count the number of living entities, you see that there are so many living entities. But there's the very fact that there are so many living entities shows that there are so many of us who have rebelled against Krishna to take Krishna's position. So when Srila Prabhupada says a living entity's unlawful desire to become one with the Lord in every respect is the root cause, that means, what is the meaning of trying to become one with Krishna? It means basically 3 things. One is controllership, second is proprietorship, and third is enjoyership. You can remember maybe CPE. These are the 3 reasons by which we are trying to become Krishna. So, there is a story where the family wanted to travel, say from Boston to New York City by car. They wanted to travel. So when they set out to travel, they had everything ready in the car. And then the father sat in the driver's place, and the mother was in the backseat making some arrangements. And the small child, probably 5 years old, he sat next to the driver. So then before the father started his car, the child started making lot of disturbance for the father. He was saying, I want to sit in your seat, and you sit next to the driver's seat, and I want to drive the car. Why is it that every time we sit on, you drive the car? So the father tried to make him understand that it's not possible by you to drive. Your feet won't even reach the accelerator or brake. So I have to drive, and you just sit here, and you can see me do it. And you can see all the other sceneries around you as we travel. But the child was very adamant. He didn't listen to the father. So if you were in the father's position, what would you do? What would you tell the child so that he keeps quiet and he comes along with you? Shut up? Then the child will get upset and he'll start crying. Yeah. Okay, put him in illusion. But he'll say, I will play game later. First, I want to drive the car. He'll take the phone, but he'll do it later. Then anything else? Yeah? Thrash him? It's child abuse. Yeah? Put him in the back seat, but he'll start crying. He's not satisfied with even the seat next to the driver. Put a plaster. Then he'll start troubling you. When you're driving, he'll pull your hand. It can be very dangerous. with ropes, then he will not like you at all. He will not consider you as his father. So what this intelligent person did, this particular father, he gave him a toy car. There's a toy car just about his size, and basically you have to pedal and the car moves. So he sat in his car and he told the child that you take this car, a toy car for yourself. And you come in your car and I will come in my car. So the child became very happy. And then as he started driving, basically pedaling, he did maybe some 100 meters and then he was completely tired. And father was also pacing along with him. He didn't go way ahead. So then he told the father, now I'm very tired. Now I want to take rest. So then what did father do? He took the toy car, put in the back of the car and made him sit, and the boy slept and he drove to New York. And on the way, the boy got up and he was very happy. He was looking at the scenery, he was eating, and he was having very nice time with his family. So similarly, we are also like that naughty child. So Krishna, actually, we wanted to take Krishna's position and we wanted to take his position in the spiritual world, but that's not possible. So Krishna made an arrangement, special arrangement. He created this material world where we have all been posted to try to become like Krishna. And when that time comes when we get exhausted trying to become like Krishna, that time we actually turn towards Krishna and understand, oh Krishna, I was never meant to become like you. Why? Because Jivera Swarup Hoy, Krishna Nityadas. Because by nature, I am a servant. Because in the US or in the Western world, servant is a very derogatory word. How many of you present here want to become a servant? You want to become servant? Not here, outside world. No one wants to be servant. We all want to be boss. People in the material world, you can switch it off, this one. People in the material world, they are trying to become boss or boss anuboss or boss. They're trying to climb the ladder of success. Whereas in the spiritual world, in the temple, we are all trying to become das. Then das anudas. Then more higher position is das anudas. Right? So more we increase our servitorship or the service attitude, and more we want to serve everyone, we become happy in spiritual life. Right? So the basic point is when we rebel against Krishna, we are put to this material world to try to imitate, try to imitate Krishna, basically in the three forms, that is controllership, proprietorship, and enjoyership. Now can you give me some example for controllership from scriptures? Who try to control everything? Yeah, Hiranyakashipu. And why did he get frustrated? Because of all the universes he conquered, one 5-year-old boy didn't listen to him. He got frustrated. So you can understand the amount of controllership mentality he had. Right? Or even now for proprietorship, who wanted to become the proprietor of everything? Hiranyakashipu is also example for proprietorship. Anyone else? Any other example from the scriptures? There's so many, yeah. Bali Maharaj, yes, he wanted to become the proprietor of everything, and that's why Krishna purified Bali Maharaj. Very good example. Any other example? Yeah, Indra also wants to become the proprietor of heaven. That's why anyone who performs little tapasya, little austerity, Indra puts water to that tapasya. Yes? Vishwamitra, how he wanted to become the proprietor? Okay. He wanted to become the proprietor of the cow, yeah. Correct. Okay. So we see there are all are good examples. So there is controllership, proprietorship, and enjoyership. So there are also the three categories of people who perform spiritual life, but they are not devotees, because they still have a tinge of material motivations. And they are called as jnanis, karmis, and yogis. So can you link the controllership, proprietorship, and enjoyership to jnanis, karmis, and yogis respectively? Who stands for, who has the controllership mentality? All of them have all the three mentality, but in prominent form. Who has controllership? Yogis. Okay, why? You have to give explanation. Control the world, yes. The yogis. So basically by tapasya they want to get mystic siddhis through which they can control others, they can have a better control over material nature. That's what everyone is doing. But they perform better level of processes mentioned in the Vedas. We also try to become the controller by, we want to climb the higher rungs in a company, at least not us, or we want to post and position. Post and position is a way to get controllership. Yes, for what about proprietorship? Who's trying to become a proprietor? Yeah? Yeah, karmis are becoming proprietors. Yes. Because he performs so many sacrifices, so many karma kandas, and he wants to become a proprietor of everything. He wants to get so many things, right? Yeah. And then the enjoyers are jnanis. Yeah. Why? Because they want to. Can anyone explain why jnanis are linked to enjoyership mentality? Yeah. Mm. Mm. Well, there's also one thing. I think the controllership would be jnanis. Jnanis like to control. And enjoyers would be yogis. To the mystic siddhis, they would like to. What do you think, Tulsi Prabhu? Everything, yeah. But there's always the prominent in each one of them. Anyway, so we understand, but in the Chaitanya Charitamrita we read there's this verse which comes. Yeah, there's this verse which comes. It says, what is that? Sakalya Shant. Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakalya Shant. Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Ateva Shant. So because all these people are trying to become like Krishna, how much ever they may practice spiritual, quote unquote, spiritual life, they will never get that happiness because they're still trying to become Krishna. And Prabhupada mentioned the purport, the last snare of Maya is that they think I am only Krishna. That is the last snare of Maya. There's a very powerful, not powerful, very famous Paramahamsa with a very famous organization. And he says in his biography, it is written, finally I understood, throughout the biography if you read, you will see that he worships Devi and he's very devotional and he glorifies bhakti. And finally, towards the end of his biography, he says, finally I understood I was only God. I am only God. Very famous Paramahamsa. Right? So this is the problem. So Prabhupada is saying the last snare of Maya is that one thinks I am God. Why? Because we have all come to this material world to become God. So there was one more point in the purport being mentioned, where Prabhupada is saying that the Lord is the predominator of the external energy Maya, whereas a living entity is predominated by the same Maya under material condition. So whereas Krishna is he is superior to Maya. So Maya is Krishna's energy. Maya is Krishna's devotee. Whereas jivas, the conditioned jivas, or all of us, we are subordinate to Maya because we come under her clutches. So just like, in the Western world, do they have tuition teachers? Tuition teacher. Okay, at least in India, when you want to study and you're not doing well at a particular subject, you go and take extra classes by a person by paying extra fees. It's outside the educational institution. And over there, you get more classes and more lessons. And they really help you study. So, Krishna is like the father. And we are all like his children. And when we are put under the custody of the tuition teacher, just so that she can help us to study better. So Maya is like the tuition teacher. Sometimes the child will cry, why is this tuition teacher hitting me? Why is this tuition teacher scolding me? And why is she doing so? Because she has been instructed by the father to do so. And to the degree we are surrendered to the Father and we are studying, doing our studies properly, what is the need for a tuition teacher? We are only being put under tuition teachers because we are not studying properly. And it's being put by the Father itself. So similarly, Krishna, we have come under Maya. Krishna doesn't want to see us suffer. But we have turned our backs against him and we have chosen to suffer in this world. We have chosen Maya. So we also understand that when in the Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter, Krishna tells, he first says 7.4, Bhumirapo nalo vayo kammano buddhire vacha ahankara miti yamme bhinna prakriti rashtadha. He says these are my inferior energies. So what are the inferior energies? The 5 elements, 5 Panchmahabhut, and Panchmahabhut means earth, water, fire, air, ether, and then the subtle elements, subtle material elements, which is the false ego, intelligence, and mind. These are all my inferior energy. And then he says, Aparayam mitastvayam prakriti vidime param jiva bhuta mahabaho yayedam dharate jagat. So he tells then the jivas are also my energy, but they are superior to material elements. They are superior to this material energy. So why is jivas considered superior to material energy? It is because if you go to airport and see, there is this big, huge Boeing 777 being parked. And a small pilot opens the cockpit and he enters the cockpit and then he can fly the entire big plane. Similarly, we have seen how the modern man, he has made so much technology. He has made rockets and he is trying to go to other planets. Right? They have launched satellites outside Earth. They are trying to manipulate matter so much. So therefore, because the jivas have the capacity to manipulate matter, that's why they are superior to matter. But though they are superior to matter, they are still under the clutches of Maya. Because Prabhupada is saying here how we are being predominated by Maya. So when Maya has to have her influence over us, she does it through the mind. We know Bandhuratmatmarastasya. So the worst enemy is the mind because it is influenced by Maya. What do you mean by influenced by Maya? It means Maya uses the 3 modes to control the mind and senses through which we are being controlled. So we may be thinking, I am doing this particular thing. I like to eat gulab jamun. But it's not actually we like to eat. If Maya changes the modes, then we will not like to eat gulab jamun. In a pig's body, Prabhupada says you give halwa to the pig, pig will reject how much of a ghee you may put. But you give stool to the pig, it will eat with great delight. Why? Because the modes of ignorance is very high. So similarly, we are actually being controlled. So our likes and dislikes are basically Maya's control over us. What is our true like? Our true like is to surrender to Krishna, is to serve Krishna. And forever, practically for eternal time, we have been searching for Krishna in this material world. So we can understand there is Maya who is putting her influence onto the jiva through the 3 modes onto the mind. That is one thing, how she puts her influence. And once she does this, she has 2 activities towards the jiva. One is, what are the 2 activities? Anyone knows? What are the 2 activities she has towards the jiva? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, one is, you have told me one of them. That's one. So that is called the covering potency. So basically she will put a blindfold on our sight so that we cannot see the spiritual reality. So that's called Avaranatmika Shakti, which is called the covering potency. And what is the second potency? We all have experienced this potency. Second potency is the kicking potency or Prakshepatmika. So we see when we come under the clutches of Maya, we commit mistakes in bhakti. That is very easy. If we are committing too many silly mistakes in bhakti, it means we have come under the clutches of Maya. Why we have come under the clutches of Maya? I mean, how do we understand that we are under the clutches of Maya? It is simply because Maya actually puts a blindfold to our eyesight. We cannot see the spiritual reality. And what is that verse? Anyone knows? Arche Vishnu Shiladhir, Gurush Naramatir, Vaishnava Jati Buddhi. So basically, Predominator Saraswati, he is saying in this verse, when we see Saligram Shila, or when we see the deity form, then we think it to be an ordinary stone. So because we cannot perceive the spiritual reality when we are under the clutches of Maya. And then he says, Ache Vishnu Shiladhir, Gurush Naramatir. If there is an exalted spiritual personality, we take him to be ordinary. Like there was this one, okay, I'll come to the example later. And then Gurush Naramatir, Vaishnava Jati Buddhi. Oh, that Vaishnava, he is from, he's a black devotee. Or this devotee, he is coming from a low class family. Oh, that particular devotee, I respect him a lot because he's coming from Brahmana family. So this is all Jati Buddhi. You don't see the spiritual qualification, but you are seeing the material, external material qualifications of the body. So when we see the material qualifications, easily we commit offenses. So when we are covered by Maya, and we'll see what is that being covered by Maya, we commit mistakes. What are those mistakes? They are offenses. See, sin is on a material platform. You may suppose we do something wrong, like against the Vedic scriptures. Like suppose eating which is forbidden. So that is, it causes sin. But that sin is only on material platform. You chant Hare Krishna, it can burn up all the sinful reactions. But more dangerous than sin, much, much more dangerous, are the offenses which we commit. So why offenses? Why do we commit offenses? Because we cannot perceive the spiritual reality. So we understand how the Maya tricks us. Right? So that's why Srila Prabhupada is writing, we have the conditioned jivas, they are being predominated by Maya, by the external energy. So there was this bus in Delhi. So in the bus, at one particular stop, couple of maybe 4 to 5 army women got onto the bus. So there was this man sitting there, and he was lustily looking towards them, looking top to bottom and whistling and all that. And he was doing all this, and then these women were sitting there, and they tolerated for some time. But you can understand their physical strength because they are army women. So they got up, they got fed up with this man. And they got up, they came to this man, held his collar, gave him such thrashing. He was, made blue black completely. And he was rushed to the hospital. So you see, he understood that they are army women. But still, he was looking lustily and teasing them. Why? He could not perceive the reality of the consequence which is going to happen. Why he couldn't perceive the consequence? Because he was affected by Maya. First one was covering potency. He couldn't see. And then came the kicking potency, which is literal in this sense because those army women, they literally thrashed him left and right. So you understand, when Maya affects us, initially because of the covering potency, we don't even get to know we are under Maya. That is the worst part. And the kicking potency, it comes as a byproduct. Like in a particular village, they had put this circus, very cheap circus, maybe $1 circus. And huge, it was supposed to start at 8 a.m. So by 7:30 a.m., there was huge line just in front of the entrance of the circus. Huge line. At 8 a.m. sharp, they opened the door. But this circus had one condition. What was the condition? They had this condition that only one person at a time can go inside the circus. And then one by one they can go inside the circus. So this first person who stood in the line and who was waiting all this time, he was so happy and delighted. Now they have opened the circus. And now this man entered the circus and it was completely pitch dark. He couldn't see anything. And then one bulb lit up. And in front of him he saw huge, like a Pailwan, completely a muscular bodied person, like a bouncers. So he picked this man up, and this man was asking, you are standing in front of me. Where is the circus? I've come here to enjoy for $1. So this man picked him up, gave him left and right, and kicked him out to the exit. And when he came out to the exit, basically he was thrown out, and he fell, and he saw that everyone is looking at him who are in the entrance line. And because he didn't want to feel bad or embarrassed, he immediately got up, dusted his shirt, made his tie proper, and then people asked him, how was the experience? He said, first class. You have to go inside and experience it. Because he didn't want to look like a fool, being cheated. So then everyone would go inside, get thrashed left and right, and be thrown out of the circus. And as they would come out, they would always tell the other people, it was a wonderful experience. Isn't that what is happening in the material world? Everyone is getting the kicks. It's not that only we got the kicks and we came here. Everyone is getting, but some people can, and they admit. So we see to overcome Maya, the first thing is to understand we are under Maya. When we understand that we are under Maya, we have been covered by her potency, then we can take steps to go beyond Maya. Is that understandable? So that is what is most important. Then we see, for being covered by Maya, scripture has so many examples. Dhritarashtra, he could understand Mahabharata would cause ruin for the entire world, basically Pandavas and Kauravas, and for everyone. Mahabharata the war was, if it could be avoided, it could have saved so much energy, so many lives, so many things. But Dhritarashtra still was adamant to make Duryodhana the king. Why? Because he was attached. Or even Karna, if you take from Mahabharata, Karna knew. Did Karna know Krishna is God? Yeah, Karna knew Krishna is God. Did Karna know Pandavas were the dharma, supporting dharma and they will be victorious? Karna knew that. But still he chose Duryodhana because of his material attachment. So that when we have material attachment, it is a symptom of that we are under Maya. Why? Because that material attachment will cause blindness. That is the Avranatmika Shakti, the material attachment. So that's why we see in Kunti Mani's prayers, she's praying to Krishna. Do you know this? Ata Vishvatma Vishvatman Vishvakeshu Sakeshu me. Then she says, Sneha Pasham Dridam Chindi Idam Pandashu Vrishnishu. She's telling Krishna, please cut my attachments to the Pandavas and Vrishnis, basically her family members. What does she mean? But she was staying with the Pandavas only. She said, cut my material attachments for my attachment to their bodies. But cultivating spiritual attachments is always encouraged, because we want to cultivate spiritual attachment to the whole world and help them become happy by giving them Krishna. But material attachment is condemned because it actually puts us under Maya by covering our perception of reality. So that is one thing. Then when we understand we are being covered by Maya, even in devotional, it's not just that people outside are covered by Maya. Even devotees ourselves, we can be covered by Maya. How? We can, sometimes we may not respect a guru. Sometimes we may not respect other Vaishnavas. Like there was this particular devotee who was a disciple of Gaur Govind Swami. And he got attracted to one Western, like foreign-bodied Mataji. And he told her that, I can get married to, he was a brahmachari. And he said, I can get married to you. And she also said, okay, but if our Guru Maharaj agrees. So this poor fellow, he went to Gaur Govind Swami and said, I want to marry to that white Mataji. Gaur Govind Maharaj said, actually, this is not good for you. You are an Indian-bodied man. If you get married to white-bodied Mataji, you cannot focus on your spiritual life. So you can get married, but to someone else. So then this disciple became so adamant. And he said, no Maharaj, I will marry with this particular lady. So Gaur Govind Maharaj said, okay, from today onwards, you are not my disciple. He rejected him. And after that, this man, he went to this lady and said, okay, anyway, Guru Maharaj rejected me, but we can get married anyway. But she said, if Guru Maharaj rejected you, I cannot get married to you. So poor fellow, he got lost at both the sides. He didn't get Guru's mercy, he didn't get the wife also. You see? Now he could not obey his Guru because he saw that Guru, how can Guru not understand my feelings? He could understand more than just feelings. Right? But he saw Guru from a material point of view. So when we actually are covered by Maya, it means we start looking for name, fame. We start looking for other things than why we have come to Krishna consciousness. Why have we come to Krishna consciousness? Anyone? To love and serve Krishna. And when we come and when we get covered by Maya, that time we will feel everything else other than developing love for Krishna is important. Some may come here because they may like, the way we speak, like presentation, how to give presentation. So people may come and learn how to give presentation, and they may go around speaking, but they are not practicing anything, right? Or people like music sometimes. So they will come and become big kirtaniyas, but they don't practice anything at the core level. But the only purpose for which we have come here is to love and serve Krishna. That's the only purpose we have actually come to this material world, to understand I cannot be away from Krishna. So then we understand that if we are covered by Maya, and that symptom is a material attachment, then how do we go beyond Maya? Is first Bhagavad Gita 7.14. Who remembers? Bhagavad Gita 7.14. Daivihi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante mayametam tarantite. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, understand this Maya is a Daivi Maya. Why he is saying Daivi Maya? Because it's connected to Krishna only. So it's a divine energy, but it's very difficult to overcome. It's not impossible by jnanis, karmis and yogis. It's impossible. Only the bhaktas can go across because Krishna lives them. What is that verse? Tesham aham samuddarta mrityu samsara sagarad. Krishna says, for my devotees, I personally come and pick them up. So how is it not possible to cross? So, but then it may seem, so Krishna is telling, if you surrender to me, then I can help you cross the ocean. But it doesn't mean you directly surrender to Krishna. There's no direct link. Though we have a direct link, but it's always through a guru. That's why tad vijnanartam sagurumeva bhagachet. The Upanishads imperatively tell one has to approach a guru. Then when we understand, when we approach a guru and take his instructions seriously in our life, guru means a teacher. When we approach a teacher, a superior, and live according to their, what advice they give, we make step-by-step progress in a short amount of time. What is that? Satam prasangam mamam virya samvido bhavanti hirtkarna rasayana kata tad joshanad ashru. Ashru means soon, very soon. So when we keep coming together with devotees, an association of devotees, discussing Krishna Katha, and having a focus of developing love for Krishna. Discussing Krishna Katha means discussing direct Krishna Katha. So when we do that time it said, Ashu apavarga vartmani, your material sufferings cease, no more material suffering, and then you quickly go back to Godhead. You make rapid spiritual progress. But when we don't keep the focus, as a result of the avaranatmika shakti of Maya, then we can beat around the bush, but we'll never make progress. And then many devotees, they feel, I am 20 years in the movement, but I have not made any advancement. Does Krishna really exist? Why do they get such doubts? Because they have not practiced properly. So Srila Prabhupada has very much mentioned how important the morning program is. So when we don't attend the morning program, when we have actual services given by the superiors, then it's perfect. But when we don't have services given by the superiors, then to miss the morning program for quote-unquote genuine excuses is basically being covered by avaranatmika shakti. So that's why Gajendra, he prays to Krishna this particular verse. Do you remember? Madrik, it starts with Madrik. Madrik prapanna pashupasha vimokshanaya muktaya bhuri karunaya namo layaya. He's saying, Madrik prapanna pashupasha. Pashupasha means because he's bound by the crocodile. Crocodile is catching its leg. So he's telling, oh, my Lord, you are vimuktaya. Basically, you are yourself free. See, we are tied, our hands are tied at the back. Who can remove the ropes? Yeah, the person who is not tied. So who is that person? The Supreme Lord, Gajendra is saying. So then one may think that, so then he says vimuktaya, then he says muktaya. Then one may say, but why will Krishna necessarily remove my ropes? Then the verse Gajendra is saying, he is bhuri karunaya. He is very merciful. Because it's nature of very merciful people to help others. So bhuri karunaya. Then again, there may be a doubt. But if he may be bhuri karunaya, But what if, he has so many living entities to manage? So sometimes he's looking there and I'm suffering here. So, or he blinks and I suffer in that blink. But then he says, Namo Alayaya. Alayaya means he's very attentive. He doesn't blink for a second, for a moment. He's very attentive to every devotee. In His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj words, he says, any devotee who chants even one round of Hare Krishna mantra, Krishna takes personal care of him. Even one round of Hare Krishna mantra. What to talk about, 16 rounds, etc., etc. So, when Krishna takes personal care, what does it mean? We don't suffer at all? No, we suffer. Whatever is, Krishna, he puts us under Maya, or he lets our karmic forces, karmic reactions affect us so that we can become better. We can better surrender. We can better surrender to Krishna. So we are still under Krishna's care. But Krishna arranges circumstances in one's life so that we can go closer to him. In this way we see, actually Gajendra is also praying that, oh my Lord, you have all these qualities, so now you please pick me up from this ocean of material existence. And only when Lord decides to pick us up by bestowing his mercy is it possible. On our own, like Jnanis means what? Jnanis, Karmis, Yogis, they are trying for happiness by their own capacity. So what they can get is a few mystic siddhis at max, or go to Swarga. But if Lord decides to help, he can pick us up and put us back in the spiritual world, where we can serve him eternally. So maybe I'll stop there. Are there any questions? Yeah? Maybe you can take that mic. Second one.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for giving class. Very, very good points, and you've kind of enlightened me a lot. But I have one question maybe. So someone who has a lot of material attachments, but still wants to be attached to the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna, how can we use those material attachments? Because I've heard, or through teachings, that we have these things so we can use them for Krishna, So I've also heard Prabhupada say, when you see a painting of a mountain, do you think that it's less beautiful because it's not real? So these material attachments I know aren't real, but I've been attached to them for my whole life. And I've also heard that, now that I'm at this particular age, that those attachments probably won't go away. So how can I use these attachments to serve Krishna better?
You have to just spiritualize them. So Kunti is telling Krishna to cut my attachments. It means she is telling Krishna to spiritualize my attachments. Like suppose we have family members. So we are practicing Krishna consciousness. Why not give it to them? In a way they can, receive. Not that you tell, chant 16 rounds, no meat eating, no, not like that. And gradually, let them come to our programs, associate with devotees. Let them see a culture free from envy, free from violence. Let them see that culture, and gradually they will take up to Krishna consciousness, by which you can spiritualize your relationship with them. And that's not just people. See, even we can have attachment to objects of this world, let alone people. So when we have having material attachment is not wrong, is never condemned in the scriptures. Whereas you see in the 10 offenses to the holy name, the 10th offense. The 10th offense is one who maintains the material attachments, it is said. So maintaining material attachment means that he is actually putting endeavors to keep it strong. We all have material desires because we have been in this material world. But to put efforts and endeavor to maintain that material desire while practicing Krishna consciousness, that's not. Like suppose I have attachment to maybe smoking. So now I have come to Krishna consciousness. Now I'm chanting here, saying Hare Krishna, chanting Hare Krishna, dancing with devotees. And I make sure after I associate with devotees, at 9 a.m. sharp I go and purchase a pack of cigarette. I'm not making any endeavor. So that's the problem. The problem is when we maintain the material attachments. But we can always spiritualize them. Does that help?
Yeah, no, thank you. That's perfect. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other comments or questions?
So, like we have three modes of nature, sattva, rajas, tamas. So, does our previous life has any influence towards like what mode of nature are we choosing in this life?
Yes. What is that verse? Karanam guna sangosya. Yeah, sadasad joni janmasu. Where our body itself is a byproduct of modes with which we associated before. So if we associate too much with ignorance, we can even get a tree's body. We can get even a person who is so dull, such a type of body. Or if we associate with goodness, he can be very alert and he can easily perceive spiritual things like that. Yeah.
So, if our body is meant to be ignorant, if our body is meant for sense gratification, then how are we channelizing it towards sattva guna and spirituality?
By again association. So we associated with ignorance, and that's why our current body may be having good amount of ignorance. But when we associate with goodness, we are increasing the goodness. More you associate, what Prabhupada said, one person went to Sri Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, can you tell me who am I? Sri Prabhupada told him, tell me who your friends are. Why? Because a person may say, I am surrounded by drunkards, but I am never a drunkard. I have good character. Well, it's just a matter of time before he also becomes a drunkard. Because even scientific research says your personality is an average of the personalities of 5 people whom you closely associate with. So you have to choose your association wisely.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your class, Prabhu. It was so nice. I think it really put me into sattva gun. You're just your vibe. I caught your vibe, and it made me so happy. I was actually just thinking when you're talking about offenses. I've actually been thinking lately about Vaishnava etiquette and how that because actually just you sitting on the Vyasa-san, right? Because like when we have our regular interactions, we have informal interactions. In the beginning, I thought that maybe I realized, oh, maybe I don't have the correct attitude or like state of mind with interacting with you in this position. Because when you do sit on the Vyasa-san, there's a different etiquette than if we're just going and taking prasad or going out distributing pamphlets or like books for Harinam Sankirtan. And I was thinking about how Vaishnava etiquette is a very good like safety net that protects us from committing offenses and falling into the clutches of Maya and illusion. And I was very grateful that I caught your vibe and I was able to realize, oh wow, this isn't the regular Arjunananda right now. This is Arjunananda as the instrument and the servant of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So I must interact with him proportionately. I must interact with him in a different way.
Yeah. One thing what you said, which I really like, is actually the Vaishnava etiquettes are like the safety net. Just like in a circus, when they perform stunts, they always have a safety net below. So Vaishnava etiquettes are like that. They protect us from falling away from spiritual life. So it's very much required. And it's usually for Vaishnava etiquettes, we all have training being given, and we all will be given training. So thank you for sharing. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for attending the class. Hare Krishna, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.